There we go. All right, now we're recording. So welcome. I'm Shauna Sue, owner, operator, queen shenanigator of Crooked Door Studio in Uptown Marysville, Ohio. And I'm so happy you guys are joining us tonight because this is safe, right? The pandemic is a raging on. So I'm so happy you're joining me to paint. I see you're all home. You're safe. That makes my heart happy. So before we get started, thank you, Mama Sec. I actually have someone from the Union County Humane Society here. I'm going to go in and unmute her. All right, Sean, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yep. Hi, thank you all very much for joining us this evening. We are so thankful for you to be in your homes, as Shauna Sue said, staying safe, but helping our critters at the Union County Humane Society. We've done this, what, 4 years now?
Quite a few times.
4 years. Normally we have beverages and candies and raffles and all kinds of fun things at the studio. But this is a very fun and safe alternative. So please know at the end of the evening, Shauna, on behalf of all of you and Crooked Door Studios and Crooked Door for a Cause, will be making a donation to the Union County Humane Society in honor of all of you for coming out and painting with us. So thank you for what you're doing tonight to support local business through Shauna Sue and Crooked Door, and also for supporting the Union County Humane Society. We greatly appreciate it.
Sean, can I ask you real quick? Thank you so much for that. Can I ask you real quick, what's the big need that the Humane Society has right now? If you could ask for anything, what would you need?
Oh, that would be, I'm trying to see if any of our other board members are on to be able to answer that. We have an ongoing Amazon wish list that is on our website. I do know that we just did some kennel upgrades. We had some rust that was going on from the constant hydro spraying that happens multiple times a day to clean the kennels. So we did do some kennel upgrades to take care of some of the rust for some of the dogs. There's always a need for just the general cleaning supplies that we have, bleach, paper towels, those types of things. As we move into the holidays, there's always a need for engagement items for our cats and for our dogs. So if you go on to either our website or you go in through Amazon Smile, you'll be able to see a list of those needs for the Union County Humane Society. And Shauna, I'll try to find a more specific list and put that in the chat so folks can see it throughout the evening.
Or if you can put a link to the Amazon wish list, that'd be awesome too.
Yep, I can do that as well.
All right, cool. Thanks so much, Sean. Thanks for coming to paint tonight. All right, so I see we have some new faces on here. Super exciting. So again, I'm Shauna Sue from Crooked Door Studio. Thank you all so much for coming to play tonight. The first things first, we are recording. So once this is over, it usually takes me, I don't know, probably about 24 hours. I'll get this recording uploaded to YouTube. So then you can reference it at any time later. With that said, if things aren't going your way tonight, that's okay. Happens to all of us. Happens to me, right? Happens to everybody. If things just aren't working out the way you think they should, put your stuff away. Put your brushes down, sit back, have a beverage, have your glass of chocolate milk, chill with us, knowing that you can come back to the video later, right? Pick it back up at some later time, all right? So because I am recording, I have everyone on mute. That ensures that the video stays on me and doesn't jump around. If you have a question, pop it in the chat box. I will try to monitor the chat as we go through the evening, okay? I've had some questions about how long class tonight will take. It depends on you. Usually about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I'm gonna say probably about 7:30-ish will be done. We'll see. And while I have everyone's attention, what I would love at the end of class, if we were at the studio, we would all get together for a group picture. Since we're social distancing and we're not at the studio right now, at the end of class, I would love for you to take a selfie of you with your painting, send it to me, private message it to either Crooked Door Studio or email me. At the end of the night, all those pictures that I have, I'll collage them together into a group photo that then I can share. And then we can tell everybody on social media about the awesome stuff that you did tonight to raise money for the Union County Humane Society, a cause that's near and dear to my heart. So, okay, let's get started, shall we? So let's run through our supplies. I was going to say something, totally forgot. You know, the brain, she's a little slow sometimes. Okay, so first things first, since you're painting at home, I'm painting at home, take a look around and make sure that you don't have anything super important that you're worried about getting paint on, okay? Check and see make sure you're not standing on grandma's rug. Make sure you don't have a good work shirt on. I have an apron on. Just take a look around. It's really easy when you're painting to flip off the edge of the canvas, to take that brush and just accidentally fling paint, especially if you've got your music up and you're getting into it. So because you're at home, take a look around real quick. The paint that we're using, if you got paint from the studio from me, the paint that we're using is student grade acrylic paint. It cleans up with water, but if you get it on your clothes, it's a real bear to get out, okay? So just take this moment, look around, make sure you're safe. Oh, I love that, BJ. Paint on the dining room table is love speckles. It is love speckles. Love speckles that my husband does not appreciate. So anyway, with that said, if you do get paint on your clothing, because it's real hard to get out of fabric, Murphy's Oil Soap is your friend. That'll get it out of fabric. Okay. So canvas, everybody should have something they're painting upon, right? I'm gonna go vertical. I have our inspiration painting here on my tablet, right? I have it for reference. It appears that it's vertical. Just because the original is vertical doesn't mean yours has to be vertical. So decide now where you're gonna put this painting when you're done with it. Thank you, Sean. It looks like Sean just put the link. While you're waiting on your paint to dry, if you want to do a little shopping on Amazon for the Humane Society, that would be awesome. Okay, just because the original painting's vertical doesn't mean you have to go vertical. Think about where you're going to put it when it's done, and if you have a place that will accommodate landscape, then that's what you do. It's your painting, right? Are you going to, and as we talk about that, this is just our inspiration. Are you going to have one tree and one dog? Are you going to have 7 trees and like 5 cats and dogs lined up? I'll show you how to do cats. Keep all that in your brain as you're mapping it out tonight. I'm constantly mapping my paintings out. But I have a canvas, I have a stretched canvas. If you're painting on a stretched canvas, I'm going to try to remind you, as I remind myself, to paint the edges as you go. It looks really nice when your paint is wrapped all the way around your canvas, and then your painting is finished when you're done. Okay, you don't have to frame it. You can, but you don't have to. Okay, you need a water cup, halfway full of water. Doesn't need to be completely full. Cool or cold. Ooh, a white dog. So Annette, if you're gonna do a white dog, what if you do a little more blue in your snow to reflect your sky? And then I would probably shade your dog with a little bit of blue and then highlight it with white. We'll talk about it when we get there. But I'd probably get a little bit of blue in your snow. Okay, halfway full with cool or cold water, never warm or hot. It wants to be cool or cold, okay? Brushes, an assortment of brushes here tonight, but you're going to want to make sure you have something big for the background. So find your biggest brush for the background. I have one of my medium brushes that I'm going to use for my dog, cat, right? maybe my moon up in there. I have a couple pointy brushes that I'm going to use for details. I have a really small brush and then something a little bigger, but a couple round brushes for details. And then I have a fan brush. I'm going to use my fan brush for my tree. If you don't have a fan brush, it's okay. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I'm going to have you take that fan brush, lay it to the side. We want to make sure he stays dry. Fan brushes do best when they're dry and kind of crispy. If you leave your fan brush in the water, he gets really soft and malleable. That's not what we want out of him. So lay your fan brush down. The rest of your brushes, put those in your water cup. Okay, that's a good reminder that when you're done with somebody, he goes back in the water cup with his friends. Cool. Paper towels to be able to dry your brushes off on. I've got a stack of paper towels here. Something else you might have in your paint supplies. I always keep a paint pen just in case, right? I like to sign my paintings with a paint pen. I have my inspiration picture here on my tablet. And then paint. This is all the paint I'm going to use tonight, right? I have blockout white. I have black, Mars black, phthalo blue, and bright red. So the question always comes up because people have different shades of red. Tonight, I'm not concerned about it. Any red will do. And I've had the question about, is ultramarine the same as phthalo? Will it be okay? It will be. Ultramarine is just a little more transparent than phthalo blue. Phthalo blue's got a little more of a punch to it. It's a little darker. Okay. But that's what I have. That's where we're going to go. Okay, so let's talk about the direction this is going to go. So I've got my inspiration painting here on the tablet. We're going to identify first off where that ground is. And it's this nice rounded horizon, little lower than halfway. We'll get the top of it nice and dark, probably a lot of blue, a little black. You could do a solid black if you wanted, but I think I'm going to mix a little blue in there. And then as we go, we'll put a moon. We'll put our tree on there. We'll get our shadow under our tree because wherever our moon is, that's going to cast our shadow. And then we'll put our critters down here. And I say critters because I'm already thinking chickens. I think I need a dog and some chickens down here. So that's how this is going to go tonight, okay? Let's get started. All right. Find your biggest brush. I know a lot of you have new brushes. Anytime you're using a new brush, you want to squish it around in the water cup because those new brushes come from the factory with like a starch on them. So you want to get that out of there. I do this with old brushes because there might be paint left over in them. So I want to soften it up. All right, dry it off on your paper towel. And I think I'm going to use blue and black for this top. So I'm going to take a little bit of black and some blue. I know, BJ, right? Phyllis needs to be in there. Oh, I have to tell you, for those of you that know, you know, Phyllis laid her first egg the other day. I was so proud. Okay, it's about time. She's been a freeloader up to this point. Okay, some blue and some black. Let's put our horizon line in there. So there's this nice swoop. I don't want the top part of my swoop, the top part of my hill, I don't want it to be higher than halfway on the canvas. So what I'm going to do is identify the middle of my canvas, and I'm going to come down a good inch, good fat inch. That's going to be the top of my hill. And I'm going to swoop from there. Okay. Now I'm going to work up from there and fill that all in. So a little bit of black, some blue. big, smooth brush strokes, side to side. And it's interesting, that black is so powerful. It's really hard to see the blue. But if you get this in light, like natural sunlight, you'll be able to see that little bit of blue in there. And I think that's important too, because it will later bring out, if you look at it in sunlight, you'll see the blue up here. You'll also see the little bit of blue in the shading and the little bit of blue in the dog too. So it all ties together. And breathe. Everybody breathe. Now remember, we talked about edges, painting our edges. Get on over there. Get on over that left side. Get that right side. Edges are something you don't have to paint your edges, but what you don't want to do is start painting your edges and then stop, because that just looks messy and unfinished. So either paint them or not. There is no halfway. And we're going to take that color all the way up. You'll notice too, I'm not mixing these into one solid color. Every time I take paint, I'll take a little bit of black and a little bit of blue, and I'll let the mixing happen on my canvas. So I can see, if I look at it in the light, I've got some blue streaks and some darker black streaks. Part of what makes it really interesting. So I will caution you, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but take a minute every now and then and look at your canvas from a different angle. Depending on the lighting of your room, your lighting situation, you may think you have your canvas covered and it's really tricky with dark paint. But if you look at it from a different angle, you'll see where you have little speckles where you haven't used enough paint. Now's the time to catch that. So make sure you're looking at your canvas at different angles, because it's a bummer when you have a big old naked spot that you didn't even recognize, you didn't even see. Better to catch it now. I think that's my first naked of the night. There will be more. So I'm hoping as you guys are painting, you have your music on, you're remembering to breathe, pull your shoulders down from your head. The longer this pandemic situation goes on, the more of a turtle I feel like. I feel like I'm like this all the time. So pull your shoulders down. Ah. And I like to be respectful of everyone's time and let you know the direction we're moving at and the pace we're moving at. So it's 6:21. At about 6:30, I'll check back in with you to see if we're ready to move on. And if we're not, you'll let me know then. But by 6:30, we want the top part of this covered with that blue and black. And we want to make sure we get our edges. Okay. And when I say paint my edges, I literally mean wrap around and paint those edges. And remember, if you have questions, pop them in the chat box. I'll try to keep an eye on it. And when you're done with that top portion, brush and water cup. You don't want him to dry out. Okay, so Kelsey, I think you win for best natural background. Kelsey has like a fireplace going. That's fantastic. Well done, madam. I thought I was fancy with my flowers over here in the background, but no, Kelsey's got a full-on fireplace. Well done. And the cat, absolutely. Oh, how fun. Oh. Oh, and there's Heather. I've not seen you for a while. Hi, honey. So glad you're here. Nope, I got you muted. You can't unmute. Nice try, though. I'll give you the opportunity later when I stop recording for you guys to unmute yourselves and we'll talk a little bit. So again, about 6:30, I'll check in. We'll see where we're at, see if we're ready to move on. So I think it was Annette that asked, she's going to paint a white dog, and how would she do that? I really think I've been thinking about it. I really think I would probably get some little blue streaks, like little dirty brush blue streaks in that snow. And then paint your dog white, but then use maybe a little bit of the blue black for shading along the right side. I think that's probably how I would approach it. I think what I like about this painting is that I think the dog could be any color. It's meant to be in silhouette. But if you have a white dog, that might be just adds a little complicating factor to it, but we'll figure it out. Okay, my Saturday night paint friends, we're missing Baby Yoda, aren't we? Baby Yoda has not made an appearance this evening, and it makes me sad. Oh, Heather, you have white dogs too? Yeah, I think that's probably what I would do. Get a little, because it's at nighttime, right? And a white dog at night is gonna look kind of gray. Well, and we're gonna have, if you set your dogs by the tree, you're gonna have that the shadow that the tree is creating. So you're gonna have a white dog sitting in blue shadow. That'll help too. Wow. Wow. So I was just reading through, Sean put up on in the chat box some really interesting statistics. So if you get a chance, read through the chat box. I was just trying to click on the link. I didn't realize that you posted a bunch of stuff ahead of it. Our dogs eat 200 pounds of food a week. 200 pounds. 31,000 paper towels a year. That's crazy. Wow. Huh. I never thought about it. I mean, I thought about it, but not to that level. I would be interested to know, Sean, how many animals go through the Humane Society in a year? How many cats and dogs walk through the doors in a year? And I see Sean's typing. So as she's typing that, I'm thinking Rural King gift card. I think that's probably my favorite, because then the Humane Society, you guys can buy anything you need, right? Mm. So another minute or so, and I'll check in to see if you're ready or to see if we need to give it another 5 minutes. And it's okay if you are ready, but half the class isn't. We'll wait, because you may think, oh, I'm ready to move on, but we got to give this some time to dry anyway, right? So I'm just going to look around, and if you're not ready to move on, me too, BJ. If you're not ready to move on and you need that extra 5 minutes, I need you to wave your arms frantically. No? Oh, I see a little frantic waving. Kim is waving. Okay. So 5 more minutes. And again, it's given this time to dry. And it's given Sean time to give us some more information about the Humane Society, which is why we're all here after all. Something that you could do, we're going to put the white bottom on next. You could go get clean water and rinse your brushes out. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to be okay with there being a little bit of blue black residue left in my brush. I think that'll make my snow a little more interesting. But if you want white snow, rinse your brushes and your water cup out. And about 4 more minutes, we'll move on. $1,200 animals a year. That's insane. It gives me even more love and respect, as if I didn't already have, for the Humane Society staff and volunteers, but that much more. Oh, and I see Stephanie had a really good comment. Since this is recorded, can we invite others to participate and donate another day? Absolutely. 100% absolutely. Every dollar for the Humane Society is a dollar for the good, right? And you can donate to them directly, or you can donate to Crooked Door Studio, and then I'll write, because I probably won't write the check for another week or so. I'll wait for those late donations to come in. But I think right now, at last count, we were right around a $300 donation, which is awesome. but I think it's going to be a little more than that because I've seen some more Venmos and PayPals coming in. And is it weird that I want to take the donation money, which I won't, I'll just give the Humane Society the money, but is it weird that I want to take the money and see how many rolls of paper towels we can buy for $300? What would that look like? But then it's a pandemic and we shouldn't do that. And I would be the reason that we'd cause a run on paper towels like we had on toilet paper in the spring. It's not a good idea. Not a good idea. All right, a couple more minutes, 2 more minutes, and we'll move on. Okay. And again, if you want your snow to be white, 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 right, Heather? That's the challenge, finding a store that has it in stock. Right, Sean, next year that would be fun, right? We'll pick an item that the Humane Society really, really needs, and then we'll spend all the money and we'll buy that one thing. I think that'd be a hoot. But then where would you store it? Oh, Gertie, new fancy wheels. Gertie has some pretty fancy wheels. Oh, Stephanie, I love that. Oh, they have a garage for storage. That's awesome. What did you say, Stephanie? My company gave all associates $50 cause card to donate to any cause, and you donated yours to the Humane Society. Thank you. What company do you work for that gives you a cause card? That's awesome. Oh, so good. Alliance Data. That's fantastic. Thank you for donating to the Humane Society. Okay, so another minute. I'm gonna make sure I have some clean white here. Clean that brush out. And again, I'm okay if my brush still has a little bit of residue in it. I'm all right with that. You guys, I miss us all not being together at the studio, but this is pretty fantastic, right? It's making the best of our situation. It's what the pandemic has taught us all, right? We make the best of what we have. And Sean, back to a meeting we had this morning, this is my self-care, right? Okay, so let's go ahead, let's move on. Let's put our white down here. Now you may be thinking, why do I have to put white down there? I do, Stephanie, message me later. Why would I put white down here? Oh my God, it's not the sangria, Sean, it's the apples. It's eating the apples that have been soaking in Fireball for days. Anyway, okay, focus. The focus is not strong. It never is. Okay, you may be thinking, why do I have to put white paint down here if this is already white? The best way I can explain it, it's the difference between flat paint and like semi-gloss paint. The canvases are covered with white gesso, which is essentially just flat white paint. So down the road, you would get like dirty fingerprints and stuff on this, and you can't get rid of them. But if we put white paint on it, our white paint that we have, that's more of a semi-gloss. You'd be able to wipe it off later, okay? So let's go ahead, take that big brush. I'm gonna clean it out. And again, I'm okay if I have a little bit of blue black residue in there. Clean it out, dry it off. And anytime you take paint, white especially, the edge, always go in the edge. Don't mess up the whole puddle, just pull from the edge. And let's go ahead and paint that bottom in. Ooh, and I can see I have some blue brown streak or blue black streaks on there. I like it. I know you can't see it because it's so subtle. Oh, there we go. See my streaks in there? I'm okay with that. If you're getting streaks on yours and you're not okay with that, go get clean water, wash your brushes out really good, and try again. But I think that just makes mine a little more interesting. And we're just finishing that out all the way down. And edges, don't forget your edges. Okay. Okay. So once your snow is done down at the bottom, go ahead and pop your brush in your water cup. Take a few more minutes to have everybody get their snow down there. And then I think we're going to practice trees. We're going to put the tree on next. I was going to put the moon on, but I think I want the tree on there and have it take shape and then place the moon. I don't want to have to work my tree around where the moon goes. So tree next. So if you have some spare paper towels, an extra plate, go ahead and grab that. And here in about 5 minutes, I think, we'll do some tree practicing. We're not just going to jump right in there. I'll have you do some practicing and I'll show you a couple different ways to do a pine tree. Because there's a lot of ways we can approach it. So I'll show you some of that in about 5 minutes at 6:45. Don't let the tree scare you, Sean. It'll be fine. I probably shouldn't laugh like that, should I? It'll be fine. So creepy. Sorry. It'll be okay because there's a couple ways we can approach it. It'd be all right. Find your fan brush in a couple different. No, Andrea, I'll have to look. Find your fan brush and a couple different small brushes. Like I have my one small round brush is kind of chubby, but then I have one that's really fine. And you'll have to practice with those. But I'll show you, and you'll find a method you like. I see him, Andrea. Is he your old man? Did I see you post that on Facebook? How old is he again? Is he 8? It's 10, 11. Sweet baby. He's like, what are you doing, Mom? Oh, he's hard of hearing. Sweet baby. Sweet, sweet baby. I think Gertrude's more like a cat. I think she just doesn't want to hear me. She's got those great big ears. Oh no. Whistling and calling his name and nothing. Yeah, I think Gertrude's just like a cat. I'll holler at her and she is a person. That is true. That is accurate. She's down there snoring like a chainsaw right now. God love her. Because she had such a rough day, evidently. Okay, 2 more minutes and very spoiled. I don't know what you're talking about, Sean. Not like yours either. Yours aren't spoiled at all either. Your picture, was it last night or night before, of was it Crush sitting on the kitchen counter? Oh, sweet babies. Oh, they make our lives full, right? So 2 minutes and we'll 2 minutes and we'll move on. Make sure you have I'm gonna say let's practice with either black or blue paint. Let's practice with something dark, because we could practice with white, but we won't be able to see it. So a darker color, fan brush, a couple fine brushes, and an extra paper plate or napkins or paper or something. And here in another minute, I'll show you a couple different ways to do pine trees. I was messing with my fan brush earlier and I had it in the water to clean it out and it's still a little damp. So I'm just drying it off. It's like a makeup brush, right? Just trying to get it fluffed back out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so it's 6:45. Let's go ahead and talk about trees. There are so many different ways to do trees, with fan brush or without fan brush. Let's talk first about without fan brush. So find one of your small brushes. And again, we're just going to practice, because you'll find a technique that you like and something you can work with. You'll also find a technique that you really don't like. I think it's okay if your background's still wet. Let's practice our trees first. And then if your blue is still wet, you might head to the blow dryer, because we're going to practice here for a good, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. But yeah, you'll want it to be mostly dry, because we don't want, we want that tree to be white and stand out. So yeah, you're going to want it to be dry, but let's practice on our plates first, and that'll give that more time to dry. Okay, so think about how a tree like this is made, right? Like a triangle, nice and skinny at the top, and then it gradually gets nice and full. The problem that we have when we do pine trees, regardless of how we make them, is we start too fast at the top. So you want to start gradual. Regardless of the kind of tree that you choose to do, you're going to have to start with some kind of a backbone, right? And again, I'm not painting on my canvas yet, But this tree, he's going to be better than, if I split my black in half, he's going to be better than halfway up that. He's going to be pretty tall. And he's going to take like the middle third of that canvas. He's going to be pretty big. Okay, so let's do some practicing. So I have my pointy brush. And the first thing I want to do is put my backbone in. So top down. Now you can keep going from there with your pointy brush if you so choose. This kind of tree, the kind that is on our original painting, think of it as reaching up and holding snow. So all the branches, they start up a little bit and pull down. So I'm going to start right up here at the top, and I'm going to pull down and in, and come down a little bit and down and in. You see, I don't have them coming in left and right at the same place because I don't want to split my tree in half, right? I don't want them to connect at the same spot. So I'm offsetting them a little. Okay. And I'm gradually getting wider as I head down. You'll see too, they're really irregular and kind of wiggly, and I'm okay with that. It's nature, right? Now we can build on that. So that's just our skeleton. Then you can continue on with your little brush. And again, I have one of my littlest brushes, and each one of these branches, I can give him little friends. Let me show you what I mean. So if I start down the left side, I can give him some little friends there. And I like to work, my brain works this way. If I work down one side and then I work down the other side. So you see I'm doing the whole left side first. Maybe he has another big branch that goes that way. The best thing you can do here is stay irregular and random. I just added another random branch in there for giggles. Okay. So this is one kind of a tree. Feel like there's a gap there. I need to put maybe another little crooked branch in there. There we go, filled him in a little. And then again, because my brain works that way, I have to do one side at a time. Then I would flip and do the whole right side of my tree that same way. Okay, that's one way to tackle a tree. Let's talk about a hybrid, shall we? So a hybrid, let's use our pointy brush and then get in there with a fan brush. So we're always going to start, I have my pointy brush, we're always going to start with that backbone. Okay. And something I didn't say before, but something you have to remember, never go back up to that tippy top. You always have to leave that little tip at the top of your tree. That's where you put the star on the Christmas tree, right? So you have to leave that one pointer up there. So I'm going to come down a little bit and I'm going to put those main branches on. Again, they're reaching up, like reaching for the sky so they can hold that snow. So down and in and down and in. And I'm going to gradually get bigger branches as I go down. Okay. Now, hybrid, let's go to the fan brush. If you have a fan brush, I'm going to load this fan brush with a little bit of paint right on the ends. I'm not going to completely goober it up and load it. I just want paint right there on the ends of those bristles. So if I tap, I'm getting some really fun texture. If you have too much paint on that fan brush, when you tap, you're going to get lines. But if I wipe some of that paint off of there, I'll get some fun little speckly textures. And I'm not pressing, I want to turn sideways so you can see this. I'm not pressing hard enough that I bend those bristles. I'm just barely tap, tap, tapping. Okay. So our hybrid tree with a little bit of paint on that fan brush. Again, if you're creating a line, you've got too much paint. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to tap, tap on those main branches. And I can fill in a little bit if I feel like he's a little bit naked. Oh, there's my second naked of the night. Okay, so this is my second kind of tree. Let me show you the final version. Let me show you the Bob Ross version. Ready? I have one more plate. And BJ, at this point, if your background is still wet, you're going to want a pond or a blow dryer, either a blow dryer or a plate. Because after I show you this tree, I think I'm going to head on in there and get a tree on there. Okay, so my final tree, my final kind, I'm going to start with my backbone. Always have to start with the backbone of your tree. So top, all the way down. And this one I think is a little more of a challenge. If you look at the original painting, I love it because you can see the black through it. This one's a little more of a challenge because the amount of paint we use on the fan brush to get the look we want, we could easily wipe out that background and have a solid white tree. So it's just something to be aware of. It's entirely up to you. They all look different. They all, right? Okay, I'm gonna take that fan brush and load it up with paint. I have enough paint on there that that's gonna hold those bristles together. If your fan brush bristles are like chunking and turning into fingers, you need more paint to hold them together. Okay, so top, have to come down because that's where you put the star on the Christmas tree. So you got to come down a little bit. I'm gonna tap real light. I'm gonna come down again and I'm gonna tap a little heavier. By the time I get to my third tap, I'm tap, tap, tapping back and forth. There we go. Shabam. This is the fastest of the trees, but I think this takes a little bit of practice to get it down, to get that motion down. If you're doing this kind of a tree, don't turn your brush. The only thing you're going to do with that brush, you're going to start out with it perpendicular, And then as you work your way down to the tree, you're going to need more paint and you're going to start to lay that brush down, but you're not turning it, right? You're just going to lay it down a little bit to get more paint on your bristles, off your bristles. Okay, so practice as long as you need to, but I think I'm going to head in. I think I'm going to do it. Can't decide what version I want to use. I don't know if I want to use this one. This was with the pointy brush. And we drew in all the little branches. I kind of like this one, a combination of both. Or we could just go in with just the fan brush. Oh, decisions. I think I'm going to use a combination of both. Okay. So this is my reminder, big deep breath. All right. Power through it. I'm going to get some more black paint and get a tree on there. So remember, everybody moves at a different pace, right? We're going to take about 10 minutes on this tree, and then we're going to head down in here to the shadow and the moon and stars, and then our critters down here. I want to be respectful of everyone's time and not hold you too late. But remember, you can stay and work on your painting as long as you want, right? Okay, so it's pretty close to the middle. Might be a little further to the left, just a titch, just a tiny little bit. It's going to be pretty tall, and it comes down to the horizon. Kind of visualizing it. Okay, so I'm just going to use white. Here we go. That was funny. I didn't even think that through. I just got more black paint on my plate, not even thinking. Our tree is white. Okay, here we go. A little left of center. It's about a big fat hand width from the top. Down to my horizon. Big exhale. And then again, I think I'm gonna do a combination of both. Before I go to the fan brush, I might put some little branches on there. So again, about 7:10, we'll move on, because this tree is one of those things that you could just sit and play with forever, right? And you'll have plenty of time to do that once class is over, before you have to send me your final picture. But to be respectful of everyone's time, I'll want to go ahead and move on. So about 7:10, about 8 minutes. My tree's looking very Charlie Brown, and I kind of like that. Okay. So now I've got my backbone in there. I've got my tree skeleton. I'm going to go in with the fan brush with a little bit of white. Ooh, I like that. Remember, as you work on this, don't completely obliterate all that black behind your tree. You still want to be able to see through to some of that background. I'm so excited to see what you guys do with these trees tonight. I'm excited to see the way everybody has approached theirs. And my tree comes all the way down to the horizon, like it's hiding behind the hill a little bit. Oh, I think I need to stop before I go too far. Ooh, I see serious faces. Everybody breathe. Pull your shoulders down from your ears. Stretch it out. This is a fun way to do a tree. I love using the fan brush for trees because messy is okay, right? It's the idea of a tree. Ooh, my music went a little funk. Got a little Bill Withers happening here. Okay, so about 5 more minutes. I want you to get a really good idea of your tree on there, right? I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think I'm gonna leave him alone. About 5 more minutes. Clean your fan brush out and get ready because we're gonna do that again upside down. Sean, $300 in paper towels, that would be a whole truckload, right? That would be an awesome visual. Because I know in some people's worlds, $300 maybe isn't a ton of money. To some of us, it's a lot of money, but to others might be like, three. But if you can put it in something that you can see, that's quite an impact. The brain, she is a turning. Okay, a few more minutes. About 7:10. Oh, Shannon, you were so smart. We should. You know, I was thinking that. I'm like, if I flip it, I won't know where my shadow is. You so smart. You smart. Yes, we're gonna do the moon next. I love my people. Y'all keep me on the straight and narrow. So Shannon just brought up, shouldn't we do the moon next? And she's right. Let me grab my longest brush here. My fan brush is my longest brush. If I'm going to put my moon right up in here, that's the direction from my moon to the center of my tree. That's where it's going to cast my shadow. So it's going to cast my shadow not straight down, it's going to cast it to the right a little bit. So yes, we should put the moon on there next. So about 3 minutes, we'll put the moon and some stars, and then we'll flip it. We'll get our tree shadow on there, and then we'll be ready for critters. Oh, Ben, bring that back over. Let me see. I wasn't paying attention. Oh, that looks good, Ben. Well done. Well done. Are you flying solo, Ben? I don't see anybody. Or is Mom on her way? Yeah, I've got you muted. Sorry. You don't have to answer me. You like that, Sean? I ask people questions and then don't let them answer. I feel like, Ben, I feel like your mom messaged me and said she was running late. I think she said she had something to pick up. Okay. Okay, well, I say let's go ahead and put the moon on there. And the moon is, relatively speaking, I think the moon is going to be pretty small, right? If you're on a 16 by 20, I would say maybe a little bigger than a quarter. So I'm going to use, maybe not my smallest brush. I'm going to use one of my smaller medium brushes. That makes sense. It's one of my flat brushes. It's one of my brushes I have a love affair with. It's my number 6 flat, or my number 6 filbert. He works really well for me. So let's use white. I don't think I'm going to add any blue. I might, but I'm going to start with white. And where's that moon going to be? Right up in this vicinity, I think. I go a little higher. The moon on the original is it's down lower than the top of the tree. I think I might raise mine up a little bit. I think I want it to be up here. Ooh, that got big fast. I went a little bigger than a quarter. I got like a silver dollar cooking there. But again, just white. And I think the transparent nature of the paint that we use, that white is a little transparent. And I think that adds just enough texture in that moon to make me happy. I don't know that I need to add any color, any blue or black. You could if you wanted. I don't think I need to. And then while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and put some stars on. I'm going to use the other end of my brush, my medium brush I've been using. And I'm going to go straight into that white with the other end. Do some little dots. That's the easiest way for me to get nice little round dots. And I don't know if they're stars or if it's snowfall. I don't know. That's up to you. That's your interpretation. Now, if you wanted to turn one of those into a star, I know, right? Did you say glitter got banned? Okay, so Sean, you'll appreciate this while everybody's doing their moon and stars. There's a little girl that paints with us all the time on Saturday night, Journey. She's adorable. And now I just realized she's in the video. She couldn't be with us tonight, but her mom needed supplies. So she could paint this some other time because her social calendar was full for tonight. So her mom ordered supplies through the studio and requested glitter. So I gave her the little containers that paint is in. I gave her 2 of those full of studio glitter. Sweet, sweet little Journey. She's the best. She's a really good artist. She's a sweetheart. And she'll have glitter all over her stars. So Journey, this is for you. You'll have to show us a picture when you're done of where the glitter wound up. Oh, you can. You can always request glitter. Yes. When the pandemic first started, I was putting paintings that I thought needed glitter. Like if there were stars, I was putting little containers of glitter in there. And I got a not so nice message. And I thought, oh, okay. That could be a surprise if you didn't want glitter in your house and the crazy paint lady put glitter in your bag. Oops. All right. So we've got, I was going to show you, if you want one to look like a 5-pointed-ish star, not a 5-pointed, but like a North Star, like a Bethlehem star, maybe. I'm going to pick one of these guys. I feel like, this one right here. I'm still using the plastic end of my brush, the other end, and I'm going to set it down and then I'm going to drag. So I'm going to drag it straight down, kind of like scratching through the paint. To the right, up, left. Right? It's a really easy way to do a lovely, like a North Star or a Bethlehem star. Just set it in that little glob of paint, drag it down, up, left, and right. Okay. All right, the time has come. Flip it. And let's go ahead and we're going to do this. We're going to do our tree shadow with white and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of blue. And let me grab my yardstick. This is going to be easier for me to explain it with the yardstick. So from the center of my moon to the base of the center of my tree, that helps me know where my shadow is going to go. So my shadow for my tree is going to go off this way. It's not going to go straight down because my moon is casting my shadow. Okay, so you don't have to use a yardstick, but it kind of helps to visualize. Take one of your long brushes and lay it there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just the idea. Oh, the stars. Absolutely, Annette. So let's go ahead and put the shadow on there and then I'll show you stars again. Okay, so again, from the center of the moon to the base of my tree, right there in the middle. And my shadow is going to come out as wide as my tree is, but it's going to cast that way. Follow that line. Okay. I think I'm just going to use my my fan brush. If you don't have a fan brush, you can use your big brush. Whatever brush you use, we're just going to tap, tap, tap. It's not, because it's just the idea. It's not a perfect tree in your shadow. It's just the idea of it's ruffled up snow. My word of caution to you is the tiny, tiny, tiniest bit of blue, because that blue is super powerful. So with my fan brush, I'm taking the teeniest bit of blue, teeny, teeny, and mixing it there in my white. I can always add more blue, But once I have too much, I can't go back from that. If you get too much blue, you need to start mixing all over again. You're not going to be able to lighten it up enough with more white. Okay. I got to get over here in front so I can get it straight. So it's going to go from there. Okay, and I know I need more blue. But again, I started really easy with that blue. Up to the edge of my tree. I'm just tapping. Just creating that blue shadow. Not really going for any kind of a tree look. I just want the shape so I know it's a tree shadow. This is one of those things I like to say, it's imperfectly perfect, right? It's just a light blue blobby mess, but in the grand scheme of things, it all makes sense. When we flip our canvas back up, we'll be like, oh, I get it. That makes sense. And then stand by, Annette. Here in just a minute, I'll talk again about the stars. Okay. This is one of those fun things. If your brush isn't doing the right thing, you could crinkle up a paper towel and do some daubing with your paper towel. That would be fun. And then when you're done, brush and water cup, flip it back up. Ooh. Wasn't sure about it upside down, but now I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I want to get a little darker though at my horizon. Ooh, not that dark. Here we go. I had a little bit, let me get closer so you can see. I had a little bit of a bright white line there at the top of my hill, and I didn't want that. I wanted to make sure that I had that complete shadow there. I didn't want any bright white line showing. So make sure your shadow goes all the way up. Oh, that's fun. Here we go. Okay, let's talk again about, you guys keep working on your shadow, but Annette, I believe, requested stars again. So let me go to Annette. I was just using my my medium brush that I used for my moon and flipped it, and I'm using the other end of it, using the handle. And then I just used that handle and went in white to do some dots. And then if I decide I want to turn one of those dots into a star, I'll go to a fresh dot that I've just done. Again, still with that handle, set it right in the star and pull down. I'm like scratching, right? I'm dragging that paint back to the middle and pull up. and then left and right. There we go, easy peasy. You're welcome. Okay, you guys, we're getting there. It's time for our critter. So let's see, I had a request. Let's see, we have a dog. I had a request to do a cat. I might do a chicken, I don't know. But the thing to remember is it's nighttime. They're all in silhouette, right? So even if your dog is, the exception is white, but even if your dog is brown, if your dog is a different color, it's still going to be pretty dark because it's in silhouette. Now, if your dog is white, you might use a little bit of gray, but I think that white on the blue shadow, I think you'll get it. It'll be okay. You might want to go blow dry this though, right? If you're going to try to put white on top of light blue. But let's talk about the dog that's in the original painting. It's about, if we take this snow section and split it in thirds, that dog is about a third high, right? So we have the top section, the middle third is the dog. I might go a little taller. And then bottom third is snow. That's how I like to split things up in my brain. Now, you can make it as big as you want it, but I'm going to go a little bigger than a third of the height of this snow. I know I'm going to have him sit right here, and his head's going to be up here. So let's go to a whichever brush makes you happy, pointy brush, or maybe one of your small flats or small filbert brushes. I think I'm going to use a pointy brush because I'm going to want to be able to get that tail and get those ears on there. So I'm going to use my pointy brush for that. And his body, for this dog, his body is really just a long, skinny teardrop. And then he's got that little head and those ears that hang off either side. So we're looking at the back of him, so there's no face because he's looking at the tree. So I'm going to use that blue-black mixture that I used in my background originally. And then I can highlight with a little bit of blue. I can shadow with a little bit of black. I can get in there and get all the details if I want. But I'm going to start with blue, a little bit of black. Again, too much black and it overwhelms the blue, but a little bit's okay. And now what did we say? This dog is like a tall, skinny raindrop. Start here. Tall, skinny raindrop. So blue, little bit of black, tall, skinny raindrop. Fill him in. That's a good place to start. Oh, Stephanie, if you messed your star up, I just saw your comment. Just take a little bit of black blue, cover it over, let it dry, try again. That's the beauty of acrylic paint, right? Cover it over, let it dry, give it another whirl. No problem. Okay, so my dog, we have a tall, skinny raindrop, so with blue and a little bit of black. For those of you that are doing white, I would do your dog all in white and then do a little bit of shading with a little bit of black or blue. Okay. Okay, and then so this is the top part of that raindrop is right in between those two ears, right? So I want to give him a little bit of a neck. Let's thicken up that top just a little bit. got to give him a little bit of a neck. Kind of rounding that top out a little. And I can kind of already see naturally where that scarf is going to go. I can see where his neck is. And then we're going to give him some ears. Up and out. Cute. Cute. I'll get close. And this ear, I'm going to go up and out. And filling his head in a little. And then I want to give him a tail. Yep, tail. No puppet tail. Then I'm going to let him dry before I put a scarf on. Okay. But let's talk about what a cat might look like. What would a cat look like? A cat, the bodies are going to be very, very, very similar. Okay. Very similar, a little smaller. I guess it's based on what kind of cat you have and what kind of dog you have. But for the most part, we like to think of cats as a little bit smaller than dogs. Unless you're dealing with like a Maine Coon and a Chihuahua, then that's a whole other scenario. But in my world, in my land, my brain tells me cats are a little bit smaller. So to do a cat, I'm going to do the same kind of body. I'm going to start with this long teardrop. Again, I'm going a little smaller. And then for my cat, I'm going to give him a head that's kind of like a sideways football. A sideways football. And then pointy ears. And then tail. Where should the tail go? Should the tail go off to this side? Or should the tail go off to this side? I think the tail should go off to the middle, almost like they're holding hands, but with their tails. There we go. So now if you want to get super duper fancy and you want to continue to play, think about, let's do some shading and some highlighting. So if your light is coming from the left, you're going to have your bright side is the left side of your critters, and the dark side is the right. So I'm going to start with the shading. I'm going to start with the shadow because that's less scary for me anyway, because mine are dark. If you've done white critters, start with a little bit of gray with your little brush with white and a tiny bit of blue black. The right side is the dark side because the moon is coming from the left. So the right side is the dark side. And with that dark on your brush, just come down that right side. Shush. This is really hard to see here. It's very subtle. But I'm just outlining the right side of my critters. Now, conversely, if I want to highlight them, I'm going to take that same color I've been using, that blue black, and add a tiny bit of white to it. And my moonlight is coming from the left. So I want to give a little bit of bright on that ear, and a little bright down the left side of that body. It's so subtle, but it's one of those tiny little details that makes a difference. And this is nice because if you goof up on this, you just paint it dark and go again. So again, a little bit of blue black, brighten it up with a little bit of white. I'm gonna do the same thing on my cat on the left side. Maybe a little on top of his head. Little on tip of his tail. Maybe a little on that ear. Okay. Chicken. Trying to decide if I need a chicken. I mean, who doesn't need a chicken, by the way, but for those of you that have never painted with us before, I'm sure you're like, why chickens? Why? Oh, I have chickens, and they're a whole hot mess of crazy, and I love them. All the craziness, all the chicken. Yep, I'm putting the chicken in there. It's happening. Let's see. I should give it Phyllis feathers, but give it a Phyllis hairdo. But then people would be like, what's wrong with your chicken? There we go, chicken. Oh, she needs a little comb. A little hairdo. There we go. Oh, that's silly. So silly. Okay, we're coming down to it, friends. We're getting close. So let's do. I'm gonna let them dry a little bit before I try to put that scarf on there. But just like the tree has a shadow, their little bodies need a shadow too. So the same color that you used for your tree shadow, so mine was a lot of white and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of blue. I'm going to use that same color with a tiny, tiny, tiny bit more blue, because I want it to be just a little bit darker than the tree shadow. Okay. And I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be kind of messy. So let's see. White, little bit of blue, little bit of white. So again, my blue, I'm going just a little bit darker than my tree shadow. And I want to get right up under each one of my critters. right up under. And then my dog is casting just a little bit of a shadow, not straight down, has to follow the same line as the tree. So some little side to side brush strokes. Like that. I'm gonna get right up underneath my cat. And again, he's gonna cast a shadow that way also. I'm doing just little side to side scribbly brush strokes. And my chicken, right up under him. Side to side scribbles. Oh, fun. And then the very last thing, well, not very last thing, because the very last thing we do is we sign our paintings. But one of the last things I'm going to do, I want to put a scarf on there. And I want to make sure, absolutely, Kelly, join us anytime. So I want to put a scarf on there. The thing to remember with the paint that we're using, it's student grade paint, which means it's very transparent. So you may have to be prepared to do 2 coats of red if you're going to do a red scarf. If it were any other color, I would say add a little bit of white to it. All of our colors are transparent except black and white. Black and white are our 2 solids. Those are our 2 opaques. But if you add white to red, your scarf will turn pink. And I think I want like a truly red scarf on here. So to get it solid red, you're probably gonna have to do 2 coats. So let me find my little brush. Whatever brush makes you happy, whatever one of your smaller brushes. And with some red. And his scarf is going to be a little bigger than his neck. Zoop. Just a little bit. Because you want it to look like it's wrapped around, right? That'd be a little bigger than his neck. And then scarf tail. Scarf tail that comes down and flares out. And yeah, to get it nice and brilliant, I'm going to need another coat. And when I say another coat, let it dry in between. Okay. Because if you try to put 2 coats on too soon, you'll just pick up wet paint and you'll get frustrated. So I'm going to let that dry completely before I put my second coat on there. But my other critters need they need scarves too. Cat needs a scarf. I'm putting the scarf on my dog, and I've got stuck in the middle with you playing in the background. Oh, my chicken needs a scarf. And I have all my scarves blowing the same direction. I'm all blowing to the right. Okay. So I believe we are coming to the end. Take some time, let that dry, give them another coat, right? Keep playing if you want to play. Oh, but this is fun. I think I might, yeah, yes, Tisma, they might be in a band because they all have red scarves. I think the chicken's the leader of the band. I think the chicken's the percussionist. It's hard to say. Oh, anyway, okay, so I'm going to let those dry completely. then give them another coat of red to make those red scarves really pop. But other than that, I think we're done. So the very last thing you want to do, and again, you're at home, you keep playing, you keep painting. The very last thing we want to do is sign our paintings. That's where my handy dandy paint pen comes in. You can sign with a brush if you want. I like to sign with a pen or a Sharpie. Most artists sign down at the bottom corner, bottom left or bottom right. You could sign on the back if you wanted. If you sign on the back with a paint pen or a Sharpie, never here. It could bleed through and you'd see it on the front. Always here on the edge, okay? I'm not gonna sign mine because I'm not done yet. I wanna get another coat on those scarves. But for the purpose of our class, we're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording and then give you the chance to unmute yourself. I don't know, Sean, if you wanna give us some final words here in just a second. Or you can just keep painting, up to you. But I want to thank you all so much for coming to play tonight and helping us raise funds for the Union County Humane Society. Again, a cause that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you so much for that. So stay with us. I'm going to stop the recording and then unmute. Thanks.